our nature, our psychophysical nature in the right work, which not only will lead to like personal satisfaction, fulfillment, and growth, but it can lead to social stability. Okay, Krishna sets up this system so the entire world can be sustainably prosperous. So, you know, if people are doing it properly, this system that Krishna has given us can give us an entire world full of people who are doing exactly what they're meant to be doing in life, and in a way that we're all kind of leaning on each other. So Krishna has given us 8 principles. Okay, I think next slide. Okay, Krishna gives us 8 principles. Okay, and the first principle of this is work according to your nature. Do work that matches your talents and your tastes. Now, this seems simple, but it may need some introspection to figure out what's my talents, what are my tastes, what am I good at, what am I interested in. So the Vedas explain there are 4 fields of work. Now, as humans, we'll fit into one category according to our nature. And in this day and age, it's common to have qualities from more than one field. But a lot of the time we have an inclination that, okay, I'm more in this field than the other. And I've renamed them. So these 4 actually have Sanskrit names, but I renamed them to something in English. So for the time being, it makes a bit more sense to us. So I'm going to go through each one quickly. Now there's detail in all of these, but I'm going to do a quick overview. So you get an idea of what someone in this field would be like and what jobs they're suited for. You may see your aspects of yourself in some of these, and you may even see aspects of yourself in 2 or more. Okay. So, so if we go to the next slide, a person in artistry. Okay, if you're in the field of artistry, these are the people that are these are the people creating rasa. Okay, next. Good. Okay, thank you. They're creating rasa. They're the ones creating. Oh, okay, back. I don't know whether this is a. Does they come one by one? Yeah, just one by one. They are people creating beauty or function in society. Okay, so the general disposition of someone in this field is they take pleasure in using tools or using their body to serve other people. So this includes like a huge variety of jobs, from footballers to actors to farmers. If it's okay, Ram, when I do this, could you just click to the next one? You may have to pay a little bit more attention, sorry. Otherwise, I'll keep having to pause. It's my bad. Okay, so this is like a huge variety, but they enjoy using tools or themselves to serve other people. Examples of this are like musicians, footballers or whatever. Next one. An expert in this field. So when I say expert, I'm talking about people who in the field of artistry who are like fully in this field, then don't have a leg out and in a part of another one. They are honest and satisfied with the work themselves. They don't need to be very ambitious. Okay, so if we think about this, like if you think of musicians who are satisfied with creating something beautiful, they're not so concerned about money. And on the flip side, you see musicians who go into it for the money and they tend to become frustrated or disappointed. But those who do it for the love of the art, they're quite satisfied. Okay, so that's truly somebody in the work in artistry, field of artistry. Now, people in each field have questions that they're concerned with. This means, what are they regularly asking about the world and questions they really care about? So the main things that people in artistry ask is, one, is it beautiful? And the second, is it useful? Okay, so you may see yourself somewhere in here, but if you don't, there's 3 more fields. So the next one, we've got resources. So people in this field are the people generating wealth. They expand and they make profit, they harvest, they refine resources in the world. The general disposition of people in this field, they like to play with land and crops and animals. They're very ambitious, okay? So the Bhagavatam describes people in the field of resources as always thirsty, which means they always want more. They never feel like they're done, you know, they're always driving towards new things. They like to take risks, they're goal-orientated, investment bankers, business owners, that kind of thing. So the experts in the field, they understand the whole system, okay? So whatever field they're part of, they're very they know everything about it, and they can redirect the flow of resources and expand it and make it better. They know how to increase things in their field. They're the but they must maintain themselves first. They're like the put your oxygen masks on first kind of people. They need to be well maintained before they share or they give. Okay, so they generally need to be they are the richest people in society by, you know, doing business stuff. The main questions they ask, first one, is it sustainable? And the second one is it regenerative? Okay, people in the field of governance. Okay, these are the people that are responsible for all the people and creatures. Okay, so every living entity, and they protect people from internal and external threats. They're the ones creating and maintaining the rules of order. They provide wide-scale infrastructure, so hospitals, schools, and things like that. Okay, the general disposition are they're concerned with fairness and rules and ethics. They want to make everyone happy. They have a sense of like heroism, these people. They can argue and fight easily, but they have courage. They have a take charge mentality. This includes anything from politicians to finance ministers, army commanders, police officials. Okay, an expert in this field is goal oriented. Okay, they're decisive, determined. They're also aware of systems, but they're not limited to one field of expertise, like resources. So resources, like say a person is a landlord, they'll be an expert in this property. Whereas someone in the field of governance, they also understand systems, but they understand things on a wide scale. Okay, so they can understand emerging trends, needs in human society, and they're generally like the inspirational leaders. The main questions they ask is it just? And is it honorable? Okay, so field of ideas. These are the people that provide wisdom, ideas, truth, education, guidance. They're usually the people that are involved in like counseling, teaching, journalism, science. Okay, the general disposition of someone in this field. So when I'm talking about general disposition, it means that someone that is like, you know, mostly in this field. They like to play with language and math in order to find the truth. They're insatiably curious. They see patterns, they see ideas, relationships, and they like to teach and they like to research. The experts in this field are peaceful. The qualities of this person, they're peaceful, forgiving, self-controlled, austere, pure, tolerant, knowledgeable, wise, and generally quite religious. So they like to collect knowledge and use it in charity, which means they do like sharing what they know with other people. And the main questions is it true? And is it wise? Okay, so if we go to the next slide, just so you I hope you've got something you got something from that. And I wanted to see if you can think about any jobs, go back one, any jobs that are would go in each field. So let's start with artistry. What kind of roles or jobs do you think fit into artistry? Just, I want to get some feedback so I know we're all on the same page. Usually I do this in breakout rooms, but we can't do breakout rooms. What kind of fields? Actress, chef, good. Artists, singers, musicians, dancers, good. And remember, it's called artistry, but it's not people that are limited to the arts, okay? So this can include anyone that's using their body, sports personalities, good, athletes, okay? Investment bankers wouldn't fit into artistry yet. Comedians, good, okay? So these are the people that are using their body, or they're using tools to create something. So like, for example, a carpenter would be artistry, and he'd use tools to, you know, do his art. And they're concerned about beauty. They're concerned about utility, okay? They want to do something that supports someone, helps someone, makes someone happy. Builders, yes, good. Builders would be in artistry. Okay, people that are builders for the love of building, they genuinely do want to make something beautiful. They want to make something useful. You know, you get, you know, builders that are in it for the money. They're not genuinely from their, you know, their inherent qualities, an artistry person. Let's go to resort art. Oh, so some jobs which you're putting in here are a mix of two. So we're going to discuss that in a minute. What about resources? What kind of things go into resources? Bankers, yes. Entrepreneurs, businessmen, good. Entrepreneurs, it depends on what they're developing. Analysts, that might be a mix. Okay, remember, resources people, they're looking, their main concern is how to make things sustainable, how to make things renewable, how to make money. They know systems, they know how to make things efficient. Yeah, so maybe someone who owns lots of farms. Yes, economists. Yep. Okay, economists would also be, would maybe be a mix of two. Okay, so these are like landlords. They're generally like the traders, the merchants. They own a lot of stuff. Okay, governance. What kind of jobs? Politicians, yes. Yeah, when you say army, it's not necessarily all the army people, because see, even a person in artistry could be in the army as like a lower ranking official, but like an army commander would be a governance person. Ooh, lawyers is interesting. I wouldn't put lawyers in governance, but it depends what they're doing and how they're doing it. Good. Okay, leaders, the navy, judges, yes, cadets, yes. Okay, then let's look at ideas. What kind of people would you put in ideas? Scientists, yes. Psychiatrists would go in there, yep. Journalists, inventors, teachers, philosophers, well done. Okay, so I think that the English names did help you, because you've got a really good idea of what these are. Now the Vedas describe that all of these four fields, artistry, resources, governance, and ideas, they represent a part of a metaphorical body. So can we go to the next bit? If you were to compare each of these parts, if each field represented a part of a metaphorical body, which parts do you think they would be and why? So we've got four parts of the body: head, arms, stomach, and legs. And if you had to match these four fields to these four parts of the body, which one would you match with what and why? It's a metaphor. Ideas, head. Good, interesting. Good. Yes, it is, Harsh. Yeah. Yep. Governance, arms. Interesting. We've got really good ideas here. Some people are saying artistry is arms. Resources, legs. What about stomach? No one said anything about stomach. What do we think about that? Good. One person's got it right. Oh, okay. So we're looking at these specific parts of the body. So it either has to be head, arms, stomach, or legs. Okay, some people have got it right. So let's go to the next slide. So the first part of the body we've got is legs. And the legs is artistry. Now in Sanskrit, they're called Shudras. Okay. And if we go to the next bit, the reason that they're the legs is because legs support the entire body and allow it to function in the world. So without builders, we wouldn't have, any function. Without the people in artistry, we can't really do much, because they are the people that are generally the workforce. Okay. And yeah, they allow us to, move around, do things, stomach. Next one. We've got resources, okay? The stomach directs the flow of resources to itself and then outwards towards the rest of the body. So just like this in Sanskrit is called Vaishyas. So they take resources like, whatever we have. So let's say crops, okay? They know how to process it like the stomach does, and then it redistributes it to the rest of the body. So just like the stomach takes food, it processes it and then gives energy to the rest of the body, Vaishyas will take the resources of the natural world, or it doesn't have to be directly, but they take that resources and then they distribute it throughout the entire body. The pure Vaishyas, what they're meant to do, okay? But they do eat themselves first, okay? Like the stomach gets the food first and then redistributes it. So in the same way, so do Vaishyas. The arms are governance, okay? So the Kshatriyas are compared to the arms. They provide for and protect the rest of the body. Without the arms, we can't do any protection. The head, as most of you got, was the ideas, okay? The head guides the entire body. Okay, the head basically tells what the body what to do and how to do it. It provides intelligence and direction. Now, as we can see, this is the Varnashram system, which now we have a version of it in India called the caste system, which is basically a polluted version of this. So if you look at this body, all of these parts are actually interdependent on each other. Okay, without the stomach, the head can't do anything. Okay, without the legs and the arms, you don't have a fully functioning body. Okay, there's no real hierarchy like there is in the caste system today, but they're all interdependent on each other. And when they cooperate with each other, all parts of the body cooperate. That's where you get real progress. The head can't work without the body, and vice versa. And some people might say, oh, well, you can, you're fine without your arms or your legs. But people without arms and legs they are fully dependent on other people. And if the whole of this society is one body, there's no one else to help you. So if this body doesn't have arms and legs, the body itself can't do anything. So I want to show 2 quotes from scripture. If we go to the next slide, about the caste system and how actually it's not based on real Vedic scriptures. So this is just a bit of a caveat to talk about the Varna system. It's not the caste system, it's different. So in the Bhagavatam, there is the whole Bhagavatam starts with a story. Now, there's a Brahmin boy called Shringi, and he curses a king. The king made a small, tiny mistake, and this Brahmin boy uses his power to curse him to die. Right? So in the Bhagavatam, it's explained that because Shringi, as this Brahmin, cursed this king unnecessarily, it said that thus the downfall of the Brahminical powers began, as they gave importance to birthright without culture. The downfall of the Brahmana caste began in the age of Kali, and since Brahmanas are the heads of the social order, all the orders of society also began to deteriorate. Okay, so it's basically saying that since for the past 5,000 years, these caste systems have begun to break down. Okay, so it's not that just because you are born a Brahmin, you have Brahminical qualities. Okay, so whatever field you are in, it doesn't matter what your parents are. You have your individual inherent nature according to your qualities, not your birth. Okay, go to the next slide. And this is another part of Bhagavatam. So I'll read it. This verse definitely proves that Srila Sukadev Goswami did not refuse to teach Sutta Goswami about the transcendental science, nor did the sages of Naimisharanya refuse to hear the lessons from him because of his inferior birth. This means that thousands of years ago, there was no bar to learning or preaching the transcendental science because of inferior birth. The rigidity of so-called caste system in the Hindu society became prominent within only 100 years or so, when the number of Dvija Bandhus, or disqualified men in the family of higher castes, increased. Lord Sri Chaitanya revived the original Vedic system, and he elevated Thakur Haridas to the position of Namacharya to all the authority in preaching the glories of the holy name to the Lord, although His Holiness Srila Haridas Thakur was pleased to appear in the family of Mohammedans. So there may be a lot in there which are like, well, I don't get that. But this quote is basically telling us Sukadev Goswami, Sutta Goswami is the one who speaks the Srimad Bhagavatam. He's the most recent speaker of the Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada is making the point that Sutta Goswami is born, it has an inferior birth. So according to the caste system, he would have an inferior birth. But because he has transcendental knowledge, he speaks the Bhagavatam, and people were not afraid. He asked questions in the Bhagavatam, and people are not afraid to hear from him or teach him just because he has a lower birth. And Prabhupada is making the point that this whole rigidity of society, which says if you're not a Brahmana, then you can't learn anything religious, this has come about in the last 100 years ago. And the last incarnation of Krishna, who was Lord Chaitanya, he tried to break down the system. Okay, and what he did is that he made Haridas Thakur the Namacharya, which means he made this man called Haridas Thakur the authority in chanting the holy names of God, even though Haridas Thakur was born in a family of Muslims, which is, according to the Hindu caste system, would be, low down in the caste system. So anything that we know today in India about the caste system and the Varnashram is not actually according to the scriptures. It's a corrupted version of it that's developed over time. So that was just a caveat. So now we're going to look at, how do you know which field you're in? So if we go to the next slide, some of you may be clear on what field you are. You may have seen like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely resources, or I'm definitely artistry. Some of you may have seen yourself in 2 or more of them. Many jobs today actually are a mix of a lot of these fields. So the first thing to consider is, what questions do you ask yourself? Okay, so according to the 4 fields, do you often find yourself asking, well, how is that fair? Or how can I make money out of this? Or how can we use this to help people? So think about, what questions do you generally ask yourself? Do you find yourself asking a lot? And you may feel like everyone asks the one you find yourself asking a lot, but that's not the case. For example, like, I'm super concerned with fairness. Like I always ask myself, okay, I would say that's not fair. But like, and I feel like other people also feel the same, that they care about fairness, but they don't. You know, my husband just doesn't care about fairness at all. He's bothered about other stuff. So yeah, the first thing to ask yourself, what questions do you ask yourself a lot? Okay. The second way to figure out your own nature is your personal tastes and talents. Okay. You have to have a job where you can have steady determination, and every job for sure will have difficulties and parts of it that you don't like. But what are you happy and willing to tolerate? So the difficulties that other people associate with that job, you don't see so much as difficulties or obstacles, and you're willing to do them. So for example, someone who is really meant to be a dentist, they're not grossed out by people's mouths. Okay. Or a talk show host is not going to be scared of public speaking. So these things, like putting your hand in someone's mouth or public speaking every day, are like insurmountable challenges for some people. But the people who are really meant to be in that job don't feel like that. They don't feel like it's an insurmountable challenge. Like, I get that a lot as a teacher. People are like, how can you teach teenagers? Like, how do you do that? But I would, and they say, oh, I'll never be able to do that. But I probably wouldn't be able to do what they do. So ask yourself, what do you really, really like? And what are you happy to is through observations of parents and teachers. So if we go to the next bullet point, our parents and teachers know a lot more about us than we think they do a lot of the time. And they know our inherent qualities and the unchangeable part of your personality. So our nature was previously in the past understood by a guru or parents. Now parents often can project what they want on us, and it may be against our nature. But often parents who are not projecting their own desires on you, they have the best perspective on what you're like. And one thing to note is that because our inherent nature is irrepressible, like we can't turn it off, our family may have found that thing annoying about us when we were young. So it may well be that our nature is something that we were corrected or criticized for when we were little. But this is sometimes a great way to figure out what your nature is. So I always used to get told when I was little, like, stop correcting people, like, stop doing, you can't be right all the time, and stop trying to teach everyone. And, I love being a teacher, that's, and I look back on that, I'm like, yeah, that clearly showed my nature. And I have a friend who always, actually my cousin, he was always told, like, mind your own business, like, stop worrying about what everyone else is doing. He's like that really annoying kid who really wanted to know what everyone's doing at all times in the house. And now he's a manager, and that's managers' jobs. If you're managing a project, you need to know what everyone is doing at all times for it to be efficient. So another way to figure out your own nature is to look back and, like, what did I really get criticized for when I was little? And there are some things that are genuinely just annoying traits that don't tell your nature, but just are irritating things. But one of these things could be an indication of what your inherent nature is, something that's irrepressible about us. Another way is to, just quickly before we go to the last one, another way is when we meet people or have certain experiences, it brings out something in us, okay? And you may try something and then you realize, actually, I'm really good at this. And the problem is that sometimes it happens really late in our life. So one thing I want to encourage everyone to do is try something new. We probably try 1 or 2 new things maximum in the entire year, right? And if we're trying something new every weekend or even every month, then we'll soon figure out what activity is aligned to our nature. Okay, so try new things all the time, because you don't want to get to 21 and realize you did the wrong degree because you haven't tried, you had that experience of photography or something when you were 21. You realize, actually, I should have done this for my degree, So try new things. And thank you, the last one. What type of wealth are you attracted to? So this can be another way to figure out your own nature. Okay, so there are actually 6 types of wealth. And according to, well, I can go through them one by one. So according to what your nature is, you'll be attracted to one of these or 2 of these, and that can indicate what kind of job you should go into. So the first one is Shri. Okay, so thank you very much. So this is wealth in beauty. So this doesn't mean that you're just that you're physically attractive, but it can be that you have a lot of charisma, grace, art. Okay, so somebody who's rich in beauty might be someone who's a ballet dancer. Okay, so they have this type of wealth, beauty. Second one is Virya. Okay, so this is rich in vitality. So this is physical, mental strength. Okay, so a person that has a lot of this, or is attracted to a lot of this, maybe like a personal trainer. Okay, so the third one we have is Gyan, rich in knowledge. Okay, so this is wisdom, intelligence, understanding. So somebody who's attracted to this type of wealth may go into being a researcher or a PhD, or, you know, something to do with gaining lots of knowledge. Yash, thank you, is honor. Okay, rich in honor. So when people say, this is not just when people say things that are, it's kind of like people know you for doing the right thing all the time, you know, when you're righteous and you do the right thing. So people who are rich in yash are like leaders, politicians, people who ignite social change, you know, like Martin Luther King or, you know, Nelson Mandela. These are people who are rich in yash. Then you have vairagya. This is renunciation. So you're rich in detachment. So you have simplicity, humility, compassion. So these are people like monks, you know. And the last one is Ashwarya. So Ashwarya is literally wealth that we think of naturally when we say the word wealth. So these are kind of, they have a lot, people have Ashwarya are like, have a lot of power, control, autonomy, you know, people maybe like landlords or I don't know, things like that. Okay. Now, you may be, for example, when I first saw this, the 2 things that I'm actually attracted to are, because I don't really care about, you know, virya, about being strong. Maybe mental strength is a good thing, but I think that's linked to spirituality. I don't particularly care about Shri. I don't particularly care about money. I'm pretty bad with managing money. And I don't really care so much about renunciation, even though I should. The 2 I'm attracted to is Gyan and Yash. Now, that matches very well to my career because I'm a teacher. So Gyan, you need some sort of knowledge. You need to be rich in knowledge to be a teacher, but you need to be attracted to a little bit of yash because you want people to feel like, yeah, this person knows what they're talking about, you know. And if I wasn't attracted to yash, I would probably just be like a researcher, a journalist, where I don't really have so much contact with people. So what you're attracted to actually can indicate what type of job you want to do. So for example, if you're attracted to beauty and wealth, you might own a theater or a museum or art museum. If you are attracted to virya and gyan, so vitality and knowledge, you might be a psychiatrist, okay? Because you have a lot of mental strength and you're attracted to having mental strength and you use that knowledge to help people, okay? You might even like 3 things, which you can combine to make a niche career, and lots of people have niche careers nowadays. So say if you're attracted to beauty, renunciation and gyan, you might be a traveling musician singing philosophical songs. So like Genevieve Harrison, I think would be attracted to those 3 because she's renounced, because you have to be detached to be traveling all the time. You can't, you know, you can't have a stable kind of life. Your knowledge is the philosophical nature of what you're doing, and the beauty is the music, you know? So looking at the types of wealth you're attracted to can actually help you with what kind of job you need to go into. So there are many personality tests, but nothing really quite has the information that the Vedas give us. So if you are doing all these things and you work in a job that is good for you, there's benefits of this. Okay, so if we go to the next slide, the Vedic system works so well because the first thing it creates is competition. Okay, so if everybody is working according to their nature and they're in the right job, then you get competition within each field. So this competitiveness keeps up the quality, otherwise it would decline. However, in the competition, there should be rules of fair play. So there's compassion and respect for the losers. And we compete with equals in a win-win mentality. So like, for example, like in the field of music, there's a lot of competition, right? Which means that people are creating good stuff. Whereas if you look at in certain other fields in life, there's not a lot of competition, which means the quality goes down. The next one you get is cooperation between the fields. Because if everyone's working in the right place, you see the world is kind of like your family, and you see how each field is helping the other. We're all reliant on each other. Like we saw that metaphor of the body, right? The ideas guide, the governance gives peace and protection, the people in resources give food and supplies, and the people in artistry support all the other fields, and they create beauty in the world. Third, we remember we have commonality. Okay, so artistry and ideas, they both value simplicity. Government and resources deal with the distribution of human needs. They're the ones helping people in a literal way. Artistry and governance direct people, they both directly serve people. Okay, so we see that even though we're different, we all have commonalities. The fourth thing is that they have checks, so that's independence, sorry. And the fifth thing is that we have checks and balances. Okay, so when everyone's working in the right way, they all kind of regulate each other. Okay, so the ideas advise government and they teach everyone. Therefore, they create the standards for how we should live our lives. Government has the law, okay, and they set by example how you should live, and they regulate everyone. They make sure everyone's doing what they're meant to be doing by giving laws. Then you have resources which provide for everyone, and they use their wealth, the wealth that they, to fund artistic expression. So the artistry people wouldn't necessarily be able to do their stuff if the resources people weren't funding it. Okay, and in artistry, they check and balance things because artistry generally make up the majority of the population. Okay, and they use their numbers to either join a cause or not. Okay, so they have their way of check and balancing. So say if there's a dictator in the field of governance in the wrong way, the people in artistry can use their numbers to take that person down or vote for another person and so on and so forth. So they support everyone. So everyone has a check and balance on each other. And this means, if we go to just click next, if all of these things are happening, you get something called sustainable prosperity. Okay, so the whole society is meant to have sustainable prosperity. If we look at the modern world, guys, look at the modern world. The model we have is go, 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 take from the world. But economics, we're supposed to be connected to the land and individuals and natural resources. And modern economic theories are intentionally divorced from any concept of land or interdependence, cooperation or commonalities. But Varna Dharma, as it is an ecosystem. So if we're doing it properly, we can make sustainable prosperity, which means happiness all the time for the entire world, which means there's no economic crashes, there's no poverty, there's nothing like that if we're doing this properly. So you may ask yourself, why don't we have this? Why don't we have this? In the world, we have bankers, we have artists, we have presidents. Why don't we have sustainable prosperity? Okay, so next slide. 2 reasons why we don't have this. First one is that people are generally in the wrong field. We're doing the wrong work. And this causes individual harm because we get frustrated. We're doing something we hate every day or something that's not according to our nature every day. And it causes societal harm. So we're going to go through some examples of what happens when people are working in the wrong field. Okay, so if we go to the next slide, these are the 4 quadrants here are your fields. Now I'm going to show you what happens if people work in the wrong place and what the result of that is and how it causes societal harm. Yes, thank you. The first one. So if resources people, if you're naturally someone in resources and you go into the field of ideas, you get people who corrupt the truth for profit. So these are the people that make up studies for financial gain. Now, next one, if you get resources, people working in governance, they tend to have a government catered to special interests. Okay, so they create laws that favor the rich. If you look at like Trump's government, okay, people in resources who go into governance, they create a system where only the rich are benefiting. Then you've got resources in artistry. They automate the crafts and they create a factory system, okay? Because they want everything to be efficient and make money. And then they take out the uniqueness and passion in creating. If you are naturally in the field of governance and you go into ideas, what happens is that you subvert knowledge for political purposes, and you impose a hierarchical structure on the, for truth. So these are the people that, they create propaganda that, incites, hate or whatever. They're in the wrong place. They change the truth to make whatever they politically want happen. Then if you've got governance and resources, there's no focus on profit, because they don't really care about money. They just want to help people. And in that way, you get businesses that fail. Then you've got, when governors go into artistry, they tend to be insubordinate. Okay, they don't listen to authority and they cause havoc because they're naturally leaders. Ideas in governance, they use forgiveness instead of justice because they're quite compassionate, calm people, and they find it hard to be decisive. And what happens is that they can lose control because people don't fear them because they're so compassionate. They don't give justice where it's needed. If your ideas go into the field of resources, they're too detached from profit. They don't care about the flow of resources. So businesses fail, people lose their jobs, okay? If you have people in ideas and artistry go quite well together because they're quite linked. So sometimes you get people in, but sometimes you can get people in ideas when they go into artistry, they feel like they don't have a sense of purpose. Now, artistry in governance or in ideas, what happens to those is that they find it hard to see the big picture or the long term. Okay, there's no planning, no direction. And that's why, people like musicians and stuff, they often have managers because they're not really good at looking at the big picture. And that's why they don't work well in either ideas or governance. And then when you get artistry people and resources, there's a lot of waste and inefficiency because they don't care about or understand systems. Okay, so can you see how when you have a certain inherent nature, if you actually work in the wrong place, then not only do you cause harm to yourself, but you cause harm to society. And that's why this is the first reason that we don't have a sustainable prosperity in this world. Okay. And the second reason, thank you, next slide, is that working with your nature and doing what you're meant to be doing is only one principle of Varna Dharma. There are 7 other principles. Okay. So the first one we've got is honesty. Okay, so let's say we're working in the right job, you have to do these 7 other things. Okay, first thing is honesty. So this is not just about lying or deceit. This is based on 3 extra elements. Honesty in Vedas is 3 extra things. One is a fair exchange. So don't charge more for your products or your services than it's actually worth. So it's like if you're making a watch for 50p and you're selling it for £300, then that's not, it's part of honesty. Second one is providing for people's real needs, not manufactured needs. So you're not creating something that, go back, still on honesty. Creating something that people don't really need. That's part of honesty. And the third part of the honesty is the work shouldn't be harmful to anyone, either directly or indirectly. And, my nephew recently told me to watch, what's it called? The Social Dilemma. And these tech companies, they are creating technology that is harmful for not only individuals, but society at large. There's no regulation. They know it's happening and they're not doing anything about it because there's no financial incentive to. And that's breaking this principle of Varna. Second principle, thank you, is charity. Okay. So this means we should spread our wealth. So the Vedas do say that anyone that's working should be married, because at least then you have to share your wealth with your family, your spouse and your children. And so the concept of being single and keeping all your money isn't a Vedic principle, and it doesn't really bring real joy. And charity doesn't just mean giving money, because remember, there's 6 types of wealth. Okay. So whatever you're enjoying that's coming from your livelihood, you should be sharing that with other people who maybe don't have access to it. So for example, if you're enjoying a lot of fame, then you should build communities where you give back, not just to take all the adoration. Or if you have a lot of knowledge, you should empower other people with that knowledge. If you have a lot of beauty in your life in the form of things, you should be sharing it with other people who don't have access to it. Okay, so any type of wealth that you have, you should be giving that in charity, a little bit of it at least. Third one, sacrifice. Okay, so this is one where you regularly connect with the Supreme. So the Vedas say that we should regularly thank the Supreme for whatever wealth we're getting, because we understand that ultimately everything I have is because of something greater. Okay. Fourth one, take care of one's resources and not exploit them. Now, obviously in the world, when most people are not doing this today, we're exploiting natural resources like anything. But the Vedas are not just talking about natural resources. They're talking about people as well. So say if people work for you, they are a resource, so you have to take care of them. And also we understand that we're the soul and not the body. So actually the body is a resource as well. So we need to, part of this principle of not exploiting resources means taking care of the body, physically, mentally, spiritually. Okay, doing exercise, eat well, maintaining good health in whichever way you need. That's part of this principle. 4, cherish your fields of work, keep them pure. Okay, so it means that ideas need to stay truthful. If you're in the field of resources, you need to protect your resources. If you're governance, you need to protect everyone, not just the majority. If you're an artistry, you need to keep up your standards of quality. Okay. 6th one, no egoism or lethargy. Okay, understand you're not the doer. And this 8th one is my favorite one. Okay, sorry, it's 7 on here, but it's the 8th principle because the first one is to do work according to your nature. Do work which has real value. Now, if you don't listen to anything else in this talk, listen to this part. Okay, this is the last thing I want to kind of touch upon. Now, it's very easy to think that when we look at this principle 7, this means helping people or solving a need, like curing a disease or giving opportunities to the less fortunate. But just meeting a need of society or helping people, according to the Vedas, is not real value. So real value means that it has to be something spiritual. And when I heard this, it really hit me because I was like, of course, it's valuable to help people, but let me try and explain it. Okay. Materially, you cannot give something to someone that they have not already earned themselves. Okay, let me repeat that. Materially, you cannot give something to someone which they have not earned themselves. So on a material level, everything in the world is happening according to the laws of karma. Yes? In simplistic terms, if someone has a lot of bad karma, bad things will happen to them. If they have a lot of good karma, a lot of good things will happen to them. So if I'm a lawyer, for example, I can't win a case for someone unless that person has the karma or good credits to win that case. As a doctor, I ultimately can't save someone unless it's their karma to recover and live longer. I can't even give food to a homeless person unless that person has the karma to receive that food from me. So in the material world, people are acting as the instruments of other people's karma, and you're playing a part in a system that would pretty much be the same whether you were there or not, maybe just with a few details changed. Therefore, it's not possible to give or to do something good for someone which they don't in some way already deserve or have the good karma to pay for. Okay, now that might sound a bit bleak, but when you get into the spiritual dimension, just stay on this slide for a bit, that is when things change, the spiritual dimension, because spirituality is beyond these laws of karma. So if we're using our free will to give something spiritual to people, that has meaning, because people don't need to have good karma to receive something spiritual. That's what it actually means to add value to someone's life. Otherwise, we're just an instrument of the law of karma, giving experiences wherever they were going to happen anyways, and creating good and bad karma for ourselves in the future in the process. Now, that's how we all get stuck in this material world, because life after life, we're doing good and bad things and then being born again to receive the reactions of those good and bad things. And spirituality actually liberates you, frees you from this cycle. And not only that, but if you give something good to someone on a material level, they've now used up that good karma they have. So they've done something good in the past, and now you've given them their reaction for it, and it's done. Spiritual things are different because they're never lost or burnt up. Okay, so you give something spiritual to someone that lasts lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. It's never lost. Okay, so the final point is this, that as a livelihood, we should do something with real value. And according to the Vedas, that means it has a spiritual dimension to it. So whether that means you're doing something directly spiritual, which means you're working for a spiritual organization, or if it means that you use the money you earn to give it to something spiritual, or you use your position in society to give something spiritual to other people. Okay, so work which has real value is directly linked to Krishna. Okay, now it's like all of these principles that we have here, whether you're religious or not religious, these make sense to most people. So for example, number one, who wouldn't want, first one is working according to your nature. Who doesn't want to have a livelihood that they love and they're good at and is the greatest expression of their own self? You know, even people that are dishonest want people to be honest with them. Everyone agrees with the principle of charity, even if they don't give charity themselves. So all of these principles are things that would be agreed on generally by people in the world. So if you go to the next slide, it's kind of my last slide. The Varnashram body, Brahmanas are the head, Kshatriyas are the arms, Vaishyas are the stomach, Shudras are the legs. But the last part of our body is that the Vaishnavas, devotees of Krishna, are the heart. Okay, so we can have all these elements of society and the body can be full, but unless we have Vaishnavas who are the heart of the body itself is lifeless, it's useless, it has no real meaning or real value. Okay, so yes, do work according to your nature, and yes, do things that you enjoy and give back to the world. But unless we're doing something that is connected on a spiritual level, it is, in one way, it is not adding a lot of usefulness to the world, and it's not going to fulfill the heart in the long run. So go to the next slide, we have conclusion, and the conclusion of everything, just summed up in one, is do work according to your nature and make sure it's somehow linked to Krishna, otherwise it is useless. That's quite a strong statement, but that's what Krishna, that's what the Vedas are telling us, and we can see so many examples of it in the world. So I hope that you guys have got something out of this and you've understood a little bit more about yourself, who you are and where you fit in and what you might want to try or experience. And I hope that you've understood that this Varnashram system that Krishna gives us is actually perfect if we follow it properly. And if we're all doing it, then we can get a world where we have sustainable prosperity, where we have commonalities and love and, things like that. So I took up the entire hour without letting you have time to talk, but do we have any questions?
Haribol, thank you so much for the really, really great class. There were some questions and some of them are quite similar, and we have a couple minutes. I might ask one, but I did say to them, because they're quite good, that if this is okay with you, could I maybe ask you to answer them like separately, and then I could just send it to them privately?
Yes.
Thank you so much. There's one question I thought before we have to go back to the main room that you could answer on the call. So many people are getting pushed into like science, technology, engineering kind of careers, and like it's seen as a really stable career, and lots of people are getting encouraged to go into it. But if you also really talented at artistry and you really enjoy it, but it doesn't come with a lot of job stability and wealth, and you're not sure what to do because you could literally go into any of these fields, what should you do?
It's a really good question. So part of it is really understanding, okay, what's the difference between something that I just like doing as a hobby and what is something that I can do it for my life? So like, I remember listening to a talk, it's just a speech by Jim Carrey. He's an actor, for people that don't know him. And he was saying that his dad went into, I think it was accounting because it's a stable job. And at the age of like 40, he lost his job. And there was nowhere for him to go and nowhere for him to do. So this idea of a job being stable can change at any point in time. So at some point, it might be the case that whatever field you go into, just because it's stable, it may not actually be stable because things are changing at such an incredible rate. So that's one thing to consider. And second thing is that you have to see what you're concerned about. Because if stability is important to you, then yes, do a job that is stable. But see, some people, they don't really, your parents may care about a certain thing, but your cares may be different. So even if you're like, for for me, I'm not so concerned about money, and that doesn't make me a good person. It's just my nature. And if I did work that was for money, I would feel really drained every single day. So you have to figure out what's important to you. If stability is important to you, go into a job that gives you stability, as so it's called. But stability, if it's more important to you to love what you're doing every day and feel a sense of purpose, then do that thing. Yeah. I don't know if that helps, but you have to figure out what is actually important to you, you know? Yeah.
That made me start thinking of start to think about what do I value, and yeah, that was a really, really good answer. I think we have time for maybe one more question.
Yeah.
I might combine two. So that you mentioned that people's natures might change, or that we might not know where we fit into just yet. And does that mean our work should change as well? And how can we get to know our personality better, like despite all of this?
Okay, so there are loads of ways that we can try and figure out what our nature is. And the most, you know, when you apply to anywhere for university or any job, what do they always ask for? Right? Because experience is actually the only thing which can tell you whether you really like something or not. And the problem is that we don't really get exposed to a lot of experiences in our life by the time we get to 16 or 18. So what I would say is that open yourself up to experiences, try new things all the time, because that's the only way you're going to figure out what you like. There are some people who figure out, the first time they try, you learn an instrument is at the age of 21, and then they realize, actually, I should have been a musician. Or the first time you, I don't know, your experiences will actually give you a really good indication of what you're good at, but we don't try new things. When was the last time you tried something new? When you try new things. So push yourself, try to experience new things, and ask people, if you want to be a lawyer, you must know someone who's a lawyer, or your parents might know someone, and ask them, can I come to work with you for one day? And try lots of things in your life, and you'll figure out quicker than other people, and you won't waste 4 or 5 years training and qualifying in that thing, and then you realize you don't like it.
Thank you so much for answering all the questions and for giving such an amazing class. And thank you for answering them despite having such a short amount of time. So I think we're all going to head back into the main room now for our final session of the day with Ananda and Yogi, just some kirtan to end the day. And can we just all say a thank you in the chat to Madhuri Manjari Mataji for this great session before we head back? And then we can all start leaving the breakout room.
Thank you so much for listening to me ramble on for so long. Didn't realize it was an hour.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.